came in, guns blazing, to, quote, hold my feet to the fire. That was what you decided you wanted to do today. Now I'm holding your feet to the fire, and I'm sorry it's a little bit warm.
I've noticed a couple of videos that you've put out where you sort of held some of your callers held their feet to the fire about a couple of things from the law of Moses.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to point out that, as far as I'm concerned, that you're wrong. And I would hope that, and I sort of get the idea that you have the capacity to recognize that. And I sort of didn't understand why you do it, because to me it was, journalism 101 would be to actually know what you're talking about.
So let's get specific
before you have these conversations.
So let's get specific. Yeah. Use a specific example.
Yeah. So you had a conversation with someone about Leviticus 22 and whether bats are birds, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's and there's a video that sort of, I didn't watch the entirety of it, but it's sort of, that's the theme of it. It starts out with that, and you're really sort of pushing this guy on the subject. I'd just like to make the point to you that the word for birds in Leviticus 13 is exactly the same word in the Hebrew as the word for flying insects in verse 20. So there's two separate verses. One of them's talking about basically flying animals, and the next one's basically talking about flying insects. The word in the Hebrew is identical for both, and it doesn't mean birds or flying insects. It basically just means flying things.
This doesn't actually matter, because birds and bats are not the same type of thing just because they happen to fly. So it was just that it was revealing of the fact that these texts were written by people, not by the creator of the universe, or even inspired by, because the creator would have known
that, and I understand.
Would have known that it's arbitrary to group them together because they both happen to fly. I mean, it's the reason why we don't group together pigeons and mosquitoes.
Yeah. No, I get that, and I understand that. That's why you were making the point with this young guy. But here's the thing: is the two different sections are grouped together in terms of flying insects and flying animals, which is precisely what you've just said to me. We don't group birds with mosquitoes, and so the Bible's not doing that. It could, because the word in the Hebrew basically just means flying things. Now, for whatever reason, the law of Moses, they're grouped into two separate paragraphs, and if you were going to you could either put the bats in their own category or just include them with the rest of the flying animals.
David, do rabbits chew cud?
Yeah.
Sorry?
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before.
Do rabbits chew cud?
Yeah.
They don't. Are rabbits ruminants?
Look, no. Not in the same sense as a cow.
Not in any sense. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Look, honestly, here's the thing. I don't know.
That's a question. Right, no, because you're talking about, you're coming at me about saying things that I don't know what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about it. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Yes. No, look, I'm not interested.
I'm waiting for a number,
actually. With you.
How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Yeah.
Yes is not an answer to how many stomachs.
I'm not interested in that conversation.
Well, this is the one we're having, my friend. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
No. Well, look, if you've had the conversation with another guy, that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not.
How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Not interested in having this conversation with you.
We're going to have it.
We've talked about it before.
We're not moving on until you give me a number. How many stomachs does a rabbit have?
Well, maybe I'll come back in a week and have the conversation with you. Is that fair?
You're perfectly welcome to. I'll ask you the same question then. You can go and research it.
Perfect.
Okay, come back when you know how many stomachs a rabbit has, and we'll talk about whether rabbits are ruminants. Should we do that?
Okay.
All right. Speak
sure.
when you found out.
Happy to do it.
All right, let me know.
All right. So are we able to have a conversation about anything else?
No, we're going to not proceed until you tell me how many stomachs a rabbit has.
So this is this. So if
you can Google it real quick.
Yeah. No, look, I'm on my phone. If I. No, and here's the thing, right? I wouldn't come at you, right? right, and hold your feet to the fire about something that I wouldn't expect you to know everything off the top of your head. If I
let's
asked
be
you a
cl-
question
let's be
and you
clear
said,
here.
"Look, I
Let's
haven't,"
be clear here,
yeah,
David.
go,
You
yeah,
came in and said
yeah,
that you had an objection
yeah,
with the fact that I was talking about things without knowing what
yeah,
I was talking about. So I'm now speaking about one of the other
yeah,
Levitical laws, which classifies rabbits as falsely, in fact, hares and rock badgers as chewing the cud, and chewing the
yeah,
cud is an activity exclusively
yep,
done by ruminants. And so I'm asking, as you want to
yep,
have a discussion along the lines of knowing what we're talking about, let's demonstrate it now. And that's
yep,
why I'm going to
yep.
follow the conversation you decided to have by looking into these issues, because I think I do know
Yep.
what I'm talking about on this. And so that's why
Okay.
I
So
asked you
do you?
how many stomachs rabbits have.
Yep.
So until we're clear on that, I don't think we
Yep.
can really
And
proceed with the conversation.
yep.
I'm happy to wait if you want to go and Google it.
Oh, really? So, oh, well, as I told you, I'm on my phone.
Okay.
You could still minimize and go Google it
You
real
could just
quick.
go and Google it for a minute.
No, no, no. Look, no, no. Look, honestly, look, I had a look at this the other day. I mean, I already have an answer for you, but I don't think it's a good answer. I don't think it's a comprehensive answer, and my preference would be to, this is the point: is talking about things that we don't know about, and I'm
Dude,
choosing to
if
not
you're
do
if
that.
you're gonna if
I
you're
would
gonna
much
if you're
rather
going to
go
come and tell
away.
me
Yeah.
that I'm engaging with people without knowing what I'm talking about, you better come with the
Yep.
facts.
Well,
Otherwise, you look a
you
bit
have.
silly.
You have.
It's David, it's actually worse than that because you came in and implied dishonesty. You said you think he's smart enough to know better and to better understand it. You really
Yep.
were implying that John was being intentionally dishonest.
Oh, I don't know. I, I, I mean, look, honestly, John seems to be like a meticulous person. So I have to ask the question, why would, and basically from what we, the 30 seconds that we went through, those two paragraphs in Leviticus 22, it seems that John was aware of the fact that the word for flying insects is the same word as used in the previous paragraph for birds and bats.
The
Yeah.
point of that discussion
So,
was to show that the classification of animals in those Levitical laws was ignorant. It was naive, and it was a
yeah,
folk classification only based on one particular attribute that they happened to fly, which was completely silly. It's just,
yeah,
it's what you would expect of text written by people in those days. Similarly, the erroneous classification of rock badgers and hares as chewing the cud is also the
yeah,
sort of mistake you would expect to find were those texts written just by people during those days who didn't understand that what they took to be chewing the cud actually wasn't chewing the cud, and therefore it's an error in the
yep,
text, which was the point of the example in the first place. It's why I brought it up to that poor fellow, who I agree with you was
yep.
completely not equipped for the hike. And respectfully, it sounds a little bit like you're
Yeah.
not equipped for the hike either.
Okay. Well, do you really think that I could not ask you 28,000 questions about the Bible that you don't
Well,
have an answer
I
to?
wouldn't come into a conversation with you accusing you of not knowing what you're talking about on that matter for
Yep.
that reason.
Yeah. And the only reason I brought it up, is because you brought it up. And by
Well,
the way, I don't want to embarrass you, but I just want to make the point that if you're going to have conversations with guys like that, he sounded like a young guy, right?
I didn't
And by
force
the
him
way,
to
it's not
call.
about that. I don't think it's
I didn't force him to call,
no,
David.
no.
I
Yep,
don't make outgoing calls.
yep,
If anyone wants to call me, I'm not going to pre-screen people in case they don't know anything. If people want to call me, all I can do is have a conversation with them.
yeah. But why not then use an example that's substantial? Why use an
Well, I'm using
example
one
of
with you
something
now and
that
you're
doesn't
floundering.
hold? Yes.
There you go.
Well, no, I'm not floundering.
How
I'm
many
not
stomachs does
floundering.
a rabbit have?
I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about that.
How many stomachs does a rabbit
Well,
have?
I'm not going to have this conversation with you now.
So not happy to have it then.
I'm not going to have this conversation with you now.
Okay.
I'm
well,
happy to have a conversation with you about other things. I'm happy to move on.
what was
Revelation's all
Joseph's
about.
father's name?
So Joseph, the guy who was with Pharaoh in Egypt?
No, Joseph, Mary's.
Is that the guy you're talking about?
Mary's other half. Jesus' kind of stepdad.
Oh,
what was his father's name?
Look, honestly, only going off the top of my head because I bumped across this the other day. I think it was. Is it Heli?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in Luke 3.
Honestly, I can't remember.
In Luke 3:23, it says that it's Heli, right?
Yeah.
So why does the book of Matthew say it's Jacob?
Because two parents.
Joseph had two fathers.
I mean, in today's day and age, that's allowed.
No, beg my pardon. The Lord Jesus Christ had two parents, right? Two earthly
I'm not asking
parents.
about the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm asking about Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph's father was Heli
Yep.
in the book of
Yep.
Luke, and Jacob
Yep.
in the book of Matthew. Did Joseph have two fathers?
Can you show me the Luke one? Just scroll down a bit.
Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his work. He was the son of Joseph, son of Heli. So we can agree that this statement shows that Joseph's father was called Heli, right? In the book of Matthew, there's a different view. Joseph's father has magically turned into Jacob. Did Joseph have two fathers?
No. My point is that one of them's the line of Mary, right? And
I beg your pardon. Is Mary's father Joseph's father as well?
No. Look at the difference is, right? They're clearly two different genealogies, right? So
for the same man,
For the same man.
Yeah. So you didn't even need to ask.
Do we understand what it means for someone to be someone's father?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, so let's look at the book of Matthew and let's look at what this actually means. Jacob, the father of Joseph. In this phrase, who is Jacob's son?
No, look, it's not necessary to,
Joseph.
It's not necessary to, have this point by point.
But that's how we establish what these verses mean, and that's how we establish that this is nothing to do with Mary, right? So we're going to look at this.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's quite simple.
I know it's right.
One of them's the genealogy of Mary, right, through Mary, and the other's the genealogy through Joseph.
Is it?
They both say father of Joseph.
So they both talk about the father of Joseph. So explain to me, please, how the father of Joseph is a genealogy through Mary, because I have a father, and he's nothing to do with the genealogy of my wife.
Yeah. No, and do you notice that...
Please explain that.
No, look, there's a whole bunch of reasons, right? And I'd like to point out something that really
just one of them would do.
The
reason I brought it up is you were challenging us to show how this book is contradictory and unreliable, and I've just given you a perfect example. It can't even get something as important as who was Jesus's step-paternal grandfather correct. If it can't get a detail like that correct, which is pretty fundamental, right? Joseph is Jesus's kind of stepfather. He's not his real father because of reasons. If it can't agree with itself on who his father was, why should we trust it on anything else?
Yeah. Look, that's a decent question to ask, but I guess
why I
the
just
simple
asked
answer is they're two different genealogies. Yeah, and they're two different genealogies.
How?
I can't explain that to you. Or one of them's through Joseph and one of them's through Mary. And this is not rocket science.
They both say Joseph's dad.
Now we're going to have to start laughing in a minute, because we've been very clear that this is nothing to do with Mary.
Yeah. Do you guys seriously not realize that the people who've been compiling the Bible, let's just say the New Testament for the last, 1800, 1900 years, do you not think that they would have noticed that? And if they thought it was a problem, that they would have just, changed one of those genealogies?
I think there are even bigger problems in the Bible than that they apparently didn't notice or hoped no one else would notice. So your explanation of this is that Joseph had two fathers, and the way we explain this is that one of them was actually Mary's father. Is that your position?
No, 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 no.
So then I'm
One
going to
of
ask
them's
you,
the
what is the name of Joseph's
genealogy
father?
of Mary.
What is the name of
Yeah.
Joseph's father?
Look, honestly, I can't remember which one's which.
Jacob or Heli?
Do I need
What
to
is
be
the name?
crucified
What
for
is the
that?
name of what is the name of Joseph's father?
I've just given you an answer to that, John. I
What
can't
was your
remember
answer?
which one's which.
Let's imagine that
Yeah.
you decide
Yeah.
that you want Joseph's father to be Heli,
Yeah.
as written in the book of Luke. Is the book of Matthew correct in its
Sure.
statement that Jacob is Joseph's father? Is it correct about that?
Well, one of the genealogies is the
Now
genealogy
that would be
of
it'd be a
Mary.
yes or a no. Is it correct that Jacob is Joseph's father?
Well, yes or no? I don't know. I honestly
I'm
don't
asking
remember
you.
which one's which. Honestly,
No,
I don't
I'm
care.
saying if we I
Okay,
understand
well,
that you don't know which is which.
and
Pick one of them. It doesn't
I've
matter.
answered you. I've answered you 8 times. I've
You
answered
haven't
you 8
answered me
times. I
once.
don't
You haven't answered me
know because I
once.
can't remember, and I don't
No,
care.
David, you're getting caught up on the
Well,
specifics, and
I keep
I'm
giving you
granting flexibility on the specifics. I'm saying whichever one you want to pick,
no,
I don't care.
you're
I'm not going to let you get away with
I've given
this.
you the simple.
Whichever one you want to pick as being
Sure.
Joseph's father,
I've
is the Bible
I've given-
correct
I've given
about
you
the
this-
other one also being Joseph's father?
I've given you the simple, obvious answer that
You
a
haven't.
child could understand.
You haven't given an answer at
14
all.
times.
You haven't
which
given
is
an
that
answer once.
One of
You've
the
just said that one of them's about Mary's genealogy.
genealogies. Okay.
That's what you've said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you want to know which one's which. I can't
No,
remember.
I'm not. I'm not
which one's
asking you which one's which.
And I don't really care.
You're the only person in the room who seems to be missing this. I don't give a shit which one's which. You can pick either one you want. I don't care. Whichever one you pick, the other one is still claimed to also be Joseph's father. So I'm asking you, whichever one you pick, is it true that the other one is also?
Why is that?
Is it true that the other one is also Joseph's father, or is that false?
No. And if you look, and if you like, just calm down for a second.
I'm super calm right now.
There's a difference in the way that. Right, sweet. Well, you might notice there's a difference in the way that Matthew and Luke have phrased that parenthood, right? So what does Luke say that's different to Matthew?
One of them says,
I mean,
Jacob, the father of Joseph, and the other one says that Joseph was the son of Heli. The only difference is in the way it's phrased, but the actual semantic meaning is identical. Person A is the son of person B. Or person B is the father of person A.
And you're missing out the obvious point.
The obvious point being?
What's the you can bring it up on the screen again if you want to. I mean, I'll point it out to you if you really want me to.
Yeah, I do really want you to.
All right, so we'll go to Matthew. What does Matthew say?
Yeah.
Right,
Matthew
by the way,
says,
don't need to read it. Right, just go blah, blah, blah. So Jacob, Mary, Joseph, blah, 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 Messiah, right? What does Luke say? Because there's something different in the way that Luke phrases it, right? The son, as was thought, of Joseph, son of Heli, right? So Luke's making 2 points here, right? He's going, yes, we know that Joseph wasn't his father, and he's going, so therefore, like, don't be surprised if I use Mary's genealogy in
I
this,
think you're
right?
very
Honestly,
confused right
which
now.
One's which.
You're very confused because as was thought is referring to people thinking that Jesus was the son of Joseph. The as was thought hasn't got anything to do with who Joseph. You keep on saying but I'm proving what you're saying is wrong. The as was thought has got absolutely nothing to do with. The as was thought has got absolutely nothing to do with Joseph's father. So if you think that Heli was Joseph's father, it means that Jacob couldn't be Joseph's father. And if you think that Jacob is Joseph's father, it means that Heli couldn't be Joseph's father. And this is nothing at all to do with Mary. Now, I'm going to bring you back to where you started in the conversation, where you came in, guns blazing, to, quote, hold my feet to the fire. That was what you decided you wanted to do today. Now I'm holding your feet to the fire, and I'm sorry it's a little bit warm, but human beings only have one father. biologically speaking anyway, right? You only have one father. You're only able to have a paternal relationship with one person. So if you think it's Heli, it can't be the other guy. And if you think it's the other guy, it can't be Heli. So one of these verses is inconsistent with the other one. It's amazing that I have to spell this out. You'd have done much better to just say, yes, I grant that's an inconsistency in the text. It would have avoided a lot of pain. Are you prepared to do that now?
I don't have a problem with the fact that, there are some, scribal errors and so on and so forth in the Bible that I don't really have an answer to. I mean, look, here's the thing. It shouldn't be a surprise to you guys, that the so-called Christian community is probably more over that kind of thing than you guys ever will be.
We can beat this one.
No, but I haven't.
Till it's dead. Well, you were saying all of that stuff about Mary's genealogy. That's all nonsense, and you know it. That's just coping, and you know it.
It's
you would have done much better.
Dude.
Don't make me take you back there, because I will.
Do you think that I made that
I will
up?
take you back there if you want to.
Do you think I made that? I don't care. I think it would be pedestrian if you did, right? But do you really think I made that up?
I think you've heard it somewhere. I think you've heard it somewhere. But it's clearly a nonsense, desperate apologetic.
I've probably read it half a dozen times.
Yeah, because it's a ridiculous apologetic, and quite often the idea is any answer is better than no answer.
The genealogies are patently, demonstrably different.
It's this idea that if there's an apologetic, hold on to it like a piece of wood after your ship's sunk, right? It's the same reason that people try to explain Matthew 16:28 and his promise to make all of these things happen while his people are still alive in terms of the glow up on a mountain.
Let me, here we fucking go, talking over people, right? Let me take you back there, right? Because you said to me, right, say to me that the genealogies are inconsistent. And I said, yeah. And at the end of the day, I don't care. It doesn't change the fundamental core message of the Bible.
I didn't make the claim that it changes the core message. Right? I made the claim that it shows that the Bible is an unreliable text. That's different. I didn't at any point I've never once in my life said that it changes the core message. The message is the message, and it's a disgusting message, by the way. But that's a separate topic.